The year was 2000. And if you wanted to understand power in the entertainment industry, there was only one place to look: Blockbuster. The company wasn't just successful, it was everywhere. Blue signs illuminated suburban streets across America. Families organized entire weekends around it. Friday night wasn't simply a habit. It was a ritual embedded into consumer culture. 9,000 stores. Tens of millions of customers. A brand so dominant that most people couldn't even imagine a serious challenger. Executives looked at the numbers and saw certainty. Investors looked at the market and saw stability. Consumers looked at Blockbuster and saw permanence. And that's where the danger began. Because the most expensive mistakes in business history are rarely made when companies are weak. They're made when companies feel untouchable. Somewhere far from Wall Street, a much smaller company was studying the same market and seeing something entirely different. Not opportunity, not disruption, not technology, friction. Tiny frustrations hidden inside everyday consumer behavior. The kind of frustrations giant corporations stop noticing. And those invisible frustrations would eventually destroy a multi-billion-dollar empire. But here's the hidden mechanism nobody talks about. Blockbuster didn't lose because Netflix invented something revolutionary. It lost because Netflix understood human behavior better. And once you understand human behavior, you can rewrite entire industries. So the real question isn't how Netflix won. The real question is why Blockbuster never realized it was losing. For years, Blockbuster operated one of the most profitable systems in entertainment. Stores occupied premium locations. Its purchasing power dwarfed competitors. Its relationships with movie studios created massive advantages. The company had scale. And scale creates confidence. But scale also creates blindness. Because when a machine is generating enormous profits, every part of that machine begins to feel sacred. Managers protect it. Executives defend it. Shareholders demand it. Nobody wants to question the system that made them rich. Inside Blockbuster's business model existed a revenue stream many customers hated: late fees. From a financial perspective, late fees were brilliant. Customers rented movies. Customers forgot deadlines. Customers paid penalties. The cycle repeated endlessly. The company generated hundreds of millions from this mechanism. The numbers looked fantastic. The customer experience did not. Every late fee created irritation. Every penalty created resentment. Every frustrating interaction slowly weakened loyalty. Blockbuster saw revenue. Customers felt friction. And friction is where disruption begins. Then Netflix entered the picture. At first glance, the company looked insignificant. No massive retail footprint. No dominant brand. No nationwide presence. Just a strange business mailing DVDs through the postal service. Many industry insiders laughed. The model seemed weak, low, unimpressive, even ridiculous. How could envelopes compete with thousands of stores? How could mail compete with instant access? How could a startup challenge a giant? The answer was simple. It wasn't competing against stores. It was competing against inconvenience. Netflix studied every point of consumer frustration. Driving to a store. Searching shelves. Finding titles unavailable. Waiting in lines. Returning movies on time. Paying penalties. Each annoyance represented an opportunity. Most corporations focus on improving products. The smartest corporations eliminate friction. And those are two very different strategies. Customers didn't necessarily love DVDs by mail. What they loved was avoiding everything they hated about Blockbuster. That distinction changed history. As subscriptions grew, Netflix discovered something powerful. People preferred predictability. Instead of surprise charges, they wanted fixed monthly payments. Instead of penalties, they wanted freedom. Instead of stress, they wanted convenience. Netflix wasn't selling movies. It was selling relief. And relief scales faster than products. The hidden mechanism wasn't technology. It was psychology. Then came one of the most legendary moments in corporate history. Netflix reportedly approached Blockbuster with a proposal. Bias. The asking price was roughly $50 million. Today that number sounds absurd. At the time, it sounded unnecessary. Why would the king purchase a company that looked so small? Why would a giant worry about a startup? Why would a market leader spend money solving a problem that didn't appear to exist? Those questions made perfect sense. Until they didn't. Because markets don't collapse overnight. They shift gradually. Consumer behavior changes slowly. Signals appear quietly. The danger is that success trains companies to ignore weak signals. And Blockbuster became an expert at ignoring them. Every quarter seemed to validate existing decisions. Revenue continued flowing. Stores remained busy. The brand remained recognizable. Nothing looked broken. Which is exactly why nobody wanted to fix anything. This is where corporate ego becomes dangerous. Not because executives are unintelligent, but because successful systems create emotional attachment. The business model becomes part of corporate identity. Questioning it feels like betrayal. Protecting it feels logical. The result is paralysis disguised as confidence. Meanwhile, Netflix continued evolving. The company wasn't emotionally attached to DVDs. That distinction would prove critical. Most businesses become prisoners of their current success. Netflix viewed success differently. As a temporary advantage, not a permanent position. So while competitors focused on defending market share, Netflix focused on preparing for the next market entirely. Then broadband internet began spreading across households. Many executives viewed streaming as speculative, interesting, but distant, not urgent. Netflix saw something else. A future where physical media disappeared. A future where convenience became instantaneous. A future where distribution costs collapsed. Most importantly, a future where consumer expectations fundamentally changed. This is where the story becomes brutal. Netflix understood that its own DVD business would eventually become obsolete. And instead of protecting it, the company prepared to destroy it. Think about how rare that is. Most corporations spend enormous resources protecting existing revenue. Netflix attacked its own revenue before competitors could. That decision represents one of the most ruthless strategic principles in capitalism. If your business model is destined to die, kill it yourself. Waiting is usually more expensive. Blockbuster couldn't do that. Its stores represented billions in infrastructure. Its operations depended on physical locations. Its culture revolved around retail. Its economics depended on customer traffic. The very assets that once created dominance became chains. What once looked like strength slowly transformed into weakness. And the heavier the company became, the harder adaptation became. Netflix accelerated. Blockbuster hesitated. Netflix experimented. Blockbuster protected. Netflix embraced uncertainty. Blockbuster defended certainty. The outcome became inevitable. By the time Blockbuster launched serious responses, consumer behavior had already shifted. The battlefield had changed. And fighting yesterday's battle is one of the fastest ways to lose tomorrow's war. Eventually the giant entered bankruptcy. The startup inherited the future. But the most important lesson isn't about movies. It's about power. Because this pattern repeats everywhere. Retail, finance, technology, media, artificial intelligence. Every dominant company eventually faces the same test. Can it abandon today's profits to capture tomorrow's opportunities? Or will success blind it to the next disruption? If you're enjoying this investigation into the hidden mechanics of corporate power, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the Wealth Code Chronicles. Because behind every billion-dollar collapse lies a psychological pattern most people never notice. And understanding that pattern can completely change how you see business, markets, and power itself. Now consider the deeper question. Was Netflix truly a visionary company? Or was Blockbuster simply trapped by greed, ego, and institutional inertia? Was abandoning the old model an act of genius? Or merely survival? Where do you draw the line? Because that same debate is happening right now inside boardrooms around the world. Entire industries are facing their own blockbuster moment. Artificial intelligence is reshaping software. Digital banking is reshaping finance. Automation is reshaping labor. New platforms are quietly attacking old empires. And somewhere, another giant is laughing at a threat that appears too small to matter. Just as Blockbuster once laughed. That's why understanding these systems matters. The winners aren't always the smartest. They aren't always the biggest. And they certainly aren't always the richest. The winners are often the people willing to challenge assumptions before everyone else. The people willing to sacrifice comfort for adaptation. The people willing to question success itself. If you want to decode the systems behind these digital empires and build your own, check the first link in the description. Because the people who identify power shifts early don't simply survive change. They position themselves to benefit from it. Blockbuster believed dominance guaranteed safety. History proved otherwise. Markets reward adaptation. Consumers reward convenience. And technology rewards whoever moves first. The empire fell. The disruptor inherited the throne. The cycle continues. And right now, somewhere in the global economy, another future Netflix is being dismissed by another future Blockbuster. The only question is whether you'll recognize the pattern before everyone else does. Or whether you'll become one more predictable participant inside a system that already knows exactly how you'll react. Do you honestly believe you can escape these invisible forces shaping your decisions? Or have you already become another perfectly predictable piece on the board?